Great.
Okay, folks, I got 7:02. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Do a tech check out in Zoom land. And if you would please, if someone would please let me know if they can hear me. Appreciate it.
I can hear you. This is
Okay,
Ann.
thank you very much. Just looking at folks on Zoom. We're seeing it here in town hall. Do we need to go down and do any introductions on Zoom? We're doing that in another group I'm on, so.
We can.
I think as long as we have names and not just a number, I think we're probably okay. Roll call, we have one trustee absent at this meeting. Trustee King is not with us tonight. And with that, would you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, we'll move on to item number 2, our agenda. If there's no additions, deletions, or corrections, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve tonight's agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3 is our consent agenda, our meeting minutes from February 6th. If there's no corrections, I'd entertain a motion on that one.
I just had I don't know if I remember correctly, but the Super Skate event application, it says that the town manager highlighted the upcoming event. Was that what happened? That's not what I remember.
I don't recall.
Oh,
Thank you, Marshall.
okay. So it wasn't something that was brought up by the PRT advisory committee? No, okay.
Maybe just an update about ice. And they think they clean ice up time to have a safe event.
Okay,
We did talk about how it would be normally administratively approved, but we
Right.
brought it before you, so there was some discussion around that. as well.
Yeah, and it was
Okay.
mostly the ice receding from the shoreline. It made it really difficult. We couldn't get the quad out there, unfortunately.
okay, thank you. Then I will move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and
Aye.
closed. Then we'll move on to our reports. And I'll start,
Meredith, I think you're.
Yeah, I think we lost you right there.
Oh, this one's kind of touchy. Sorry. Again, we approved our consent agenda and we're moving on to our reports, and I'll start to my right with trustee Donzello.
Actually, interesting story really quick. I went to the ice castles. There's a possibility we might be able to secure that for Green Mountain Falls. We'll talk about that later if you'd like.
Cool.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome out in Cripple Creek. And they are looking for other places. And this is in, closer proximity to, of course, the springs. Cripple Creek was pretty treacherous the night that we drove out there. So people still showed up, but certainly perhaps we could maybe work on that. Get ice castles here. That'd be huge. Maybe we could do it for several years. Who knows?
That is cool. Okay, continuing on, trustee Ives.
So, Bo, thanks for getting back to me on the fees for planning. But I haven't seen anything yet on pass-through costs. Have you done anything on that?
I haven't. I did pose that question to Julia and haven't gotten a response. And I actually did look up her invoices to see if those were itemized to that extent, but I didn't see that either. So
Okay.
that's a little bit of digging. I'll continue to work on it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, trustee Guthrie.
Well, just to piggyback on what trustee Donzello brought up about the ice castles, I just heard a story on the radio today about what they call ice farming in Uray. And they said it's really been a boon to their usually, very quiet winters there. And they do it with, with hoses. I don't know.
Hoses.
Yeah, so
They would need very clean water. So I entertained the fact, I talked to a supervisor that ran the whole operation there, and it was close with the person who actually runs everything for ice castles. And, you would need fresh water so that the ice isn't all yellow and kind of brown. So we couldn't utilize necessarily the park, the gazebo park water. But, of course, I did inform that we have a well that I think it's about 15 gallons a minute. And, maybe we could use the two parks. Because they're looking for a larger area, and possibly somehow we could maybe utilize gazebo park as well as the park with the pool and the because they can ice over all that fencing, around the tennis courts, and who knows what they could do. They're pretty clever. So
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
Okay.
Vendors.
So yeah, my turn. Our work session, we went over our, what we call the RTA 3 projects that were voted on with the last voting cycle. Had some rough cost estimates and tried to prioritize which ones we'd try to go after first. We have engineering already for the Gulch, the culvert in the Gulch at Iona. We have some engineering for El Paso Trail. And we could possibly go, since those are quote unquote shovel ready, we could look for some grant funding to possibly go along with those. We also have a couple bridges, Ute Pass Bridge out here, and then El Paso Avenue Bridge, and then some guttering and street improvements on Ute Pass Avenue, kind of in the downtown corridor. And then some, maybe a study on Belvedere to see if we need to do something different, basically. And continuing on, FEMA has now turned us over to the state, which means we are one step closer to getting funding that we've turned in for. We still have some reporting that we'll have to do to the state for the projects that are not yet completed. Just FYI, we are planning on going after about $250,000 in additional FEMA funding in probably August. And that's the mitigation funding, to see if we can get some help with some, putting in some even more culverts. So I am a member of the PPACG. I'm also one of the co-chairs for the legislative committee. I will be testifying on behalf of the PPACG next Tuesday on House Bill 241152. That's the one on ADUs. The PPACG has taken a position of oppose on that one. And so I'll be up there waiting all day to talk 2 minutes. There's another bill, 1168, that kind of ties in with our digital accessibility, requiring everything on basically websites. So if you can imagine trying to put this on a website or these on the website to meet ADA accessibility, that bill is being rewritten. But Commissioner Stone and I plan on meeting with the author of the bill to try to see if there's a way to implement that without potentially bankrupting the town. Then there's something that we just got wind of, and I hesitate to even bring it up, but I'm going to anyway. It's called Regulation 43. It's a Colorado Department of Health and Energy regulation that is evidently being revised. And myself and some folks from El Paso County are gonna meet with CDPHE next week to see if see if they can confirm what we're hearing, but what we're hearing is not good. It has to do with cesspools. So more to come. We'll have to wait and see what happens after the meeting next week.
What's the gist?
The gist is from the guy the installer who's supposedly going and attending these meetings, is that if they pass this revision to Regulation 43, if you have a cesspool, you'll have to replace it, irregardless of if it's failed or not, which is 40,000 to $250,000, according to the guy we were talking to. Yeah, the state's helping us out. Not, sorry.
I mean, I personally don't have a cesspool, but
There's a lot.
There are
of
a lot.
There are a lot of cesspools.
a lot in Cascade too.
A lot of cesspools up and down UPass. But again, until we can get confirmation of, yes, this is actually really being talked about. If it is, I'm going to start lobbying through the PPACG to engage folks to start lobbying their folks up in the State House. And that's all I have. We'll move on to staff reports.
No staff reports from Public Works or my office this meeting. I don't believe that the marshal has anything, but Bo does have some updates.
Not exciting.
I'll do a quick town election update for you guys. Things are moving along. The next couple things that are happening are Darlene Avery is going to moderate a public forum for the candidates. That's on the 28th. She's going to speak to that in the second public comment period at this meeting. So I'll let her do that. And I'm looking for 4 election judges. I need to have them selected by March 11th. They have to be voters in Colorado. They don't have to be residents of the town. It is a paid, thing. It's $15 an hour. You can help find them. It's okay for staff to, ask directly, or you as elected officials, if you have someone who you think would be good at that. There's going to be a 2-hour training on March 18th, and then a 5-hour shift on April 1st, and then a big day on April 2nd for election day.
And we are not voting in town hall, right? It's just, or do we need to confirm that yet?
Well, I need to confirm that in my election calendar, there's a requirement for ballots to be available at town hall. And I think the idea there is that they're replacement ballots. I need to really get the scoop on that. I mean, there's nothing stopping someone from picking it up and then putting it in the ballot box outside, that day. So we're here till 7. That's the poll time that day. And I believe those ballots are available. That deadline is March 11th as well here. So.
Okay. Okay, if that's it for staff reports, we'll move on to public comment. Do we have any public commenters here in town hall? Seeing none, we'll move on to Zoom. Any public commenters on Zoom?
I'm not seeing anything coming in on the chat.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, ordinance 2024-01.
Okay. This is the ordinance to clean up the municipal code as a result of not participating in the paid parking program is the gist of it. Would like to thank Marshall Goings and his staff for helping me to evaluate what this means practically, as it would be applied here in town. And the specific portions of code that are being cleaned up and identified in the ordinance.
Is this one that I need to read in entirety, or is this title?
By title.
By title.
By title, okay. And what I think I'll do is go ahead and read the title, and then if there's any discussion amongst trustees, and then I'll ask for a motion. So Town of Green Mountain Falls, ordinance number 2024-01, an ordinance amending Article 3 of Chapter 8 of the Green Mountain Falls Municipal Code relating to parking regulations in the town. Trustees, do we have any discussion? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2024-01.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve ordinance number 2024-01. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, next item up is is 6B, our 2023 budget amendment, and this is a hearing. Okay, so it is 7:18. We will start the public hearing, and we'll see if there's any public comment on the budget. Seeing none here in town hall, do we have any public comments on Zoom? Okay. Seeing no comments either here in town hall or on Zoom. That's a quick public hearing. Public hearing is closed, and we can move on to voting on the amendment or any trustee discussion on it. And would you want to kind of maybe just highlight and go over?
Yeah, so staff did prepare a memo as part of this budget amendment. There were a couple of things that really triggered the need for this budget amendment. First off, we got some pretty ultimate, final-ish estimations on our Stilling Basin project. This was our PPRTA 2 list project. Happy to report that we on a almost $600,000 project came in within about $10,000 of it estimated at the end of the day. So pretty good there. Of course, the FEMA funding and how to account for that funding coming in, booking it back, more of a accounting procedure to book it back to 2023, as that's when the funds were utilized, or a majority of them, I should say. And then also a little bit of accounting cleanup that we needed to do in regards to the Conservation Trust Fund that was just needing to be transferred in on paper so that we can be utilizing it for those expenses. So that is a very high-level overview. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
And again, just to reiterate, this is going back and trying to clean up the books for 2023. Trustees, questions, comments?
Will this help the audit? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And the FEMA money is greatly appreciated. That's a big help.
The road base is greatly appreciated.
So if there's no further discussion or comments, I'd entertain a motion on our 2024-03, our resolution for our budget amendment.
I move that we approve resolution 2024-03, a resolution to amend the town of Green Mountain Falls 2023 budget.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve resolution 2024-03, a resolution to amend the town of Green Mountain Falls 2023 budget, a resolution appropriating expenditures and revenues for each fund and adopting an amended budget for the town of Green Mountain Falls, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2023 and ending December 31, 2023. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item 6C.
You have before you for your consideration, and a contract agreement with CMS of Colorado Springs for the construction of the El Paso County Development Block Grant Accessibility for All gazebo bridge rehabilitation and ADA accessibility. This contract is within project budget, and you have as attachment to your agenda, the third-party bid that came in for that. It does contain the scope of work and a representative from CMS. Mr. Jeff is here to answer any questions that you might have on this project.
Trustees, do you have any questions on this one? We're gonna have to deal with staging. And we're,
The plan with staff right now is to utilize a couple of the parking spaces closest to the park for staging of equipment, but for the most part, we should be able to contain a majority of the materials within the park area.
and you say the benches are included as part of our, you mentioned it to me
The
before,
scope of work.
scope of work. And I'm seeing the gentleman shake his head, yes, okay.
So I know there's going to be some curious residents. So we will not be utilizing Olathe.
We will not be utilizing Olathe.
All right. That's good.
Marshall, if you could go in the back there on the mixer where it says Zoom on the far right slider, move that down a little bit and that'll help with some of the feedback we're getting internally. Move it down about two notches. Test, 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 test. That sounds better. Yeah, we're there. Okay. Thank you.
Now, what's going to be the approximate completion date?
So we have a little bit of time to accomplish this project by awarding this now. We hope to have a majority of the work done prior to Memorial Day weekend. There are some items that may require, the lake's gonna need to be drained, or at least to have the water levels lowered. This project also includes the spalling repair of the concrete piers underneath, which of course we didn't include the price of a dive team on this project. So there's a potential that if we hit any roadblocks, we may need to finish it up later in the season after the summer events. But we're gonna go into it with the hope that it can be finished and started and finished prior to Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you.
And we're gonna have enough supply for 40 amps of 220. Is that right? 40 amps of 220? Okay. Yeah, we'll have 40 amps at 220 available, hopefully to the gazebo. 220 amps? Okay, but 40 amps total. Okay. That should be ample for anything we need out on the gazebo, I would hope.
Ample.
So 40 is sufficient, not 50? We go
Well, the
40?
conduit won't support anymore.
Okay, that's it.
You know, they laid in that new conduit
Right.
and that's as
So
big as
40
they can
is
go.
the-
So
all right.
220s, 220, 20 amp circuits,
Gotcha. 220 amp.
220 amp circuits. Yep. And you're going to be bringing the potential light poles in front of the town to have the town help select. Is that correct? I need you up the microphone so people on Zoom can hear you. They can't hear you unless you're mic'd.
So the plan would be for the light poles as soon as this is awarded, obviously, I will put together a submittal, material submittal. And in that submittal, it'll have all the specifications for the light poles and the fixtures. And then along with color selections. And I'll submit that. And then once those are approved, then we'll put those on order.
Okay,
And on those, we will be submitting things that are not long lead items because we just don't need to have any more of those. So, and along with the light poles being submitted, the other critical item would be the new laminated beams.
right.
I will do the same thing with those. And currently, and things can change, but the current lead time on those is 4 to 5 weeks out.
Yeah. And
So-
you might kind of want to address a little bit of why you did a substitution instead of what was originally specified, correct?
Yes, in the bid documents, I believe those were called out to be fir. And so working with our lumber vendors and so forth, it was suggested and that's how I price it was to go with yellow cedar. It's got a far more durability in wet conditions. And the cost impact wasn't much, but a much better product.
Okay,
So I would be submitting on those so we can get those things ordered so that we, because that will drive the schedule as to when we could start, because we don't want to do a bunch of demo and then have it sitting there, because then everyone's answering questions, why is nothing happening? And that's a bad thing.
Yep.
So that's my plan.
okay. Trustees, additional questions, comments?
Sounds good.
Is that something I would need to sign tonight or if approved?
It would be great to have your signature tonight, if all possible,
Okay.
that we can get going.
Just remind me and all. Okay, if there's no further questions from trustees, I'd entertain a motion.
A motion to approve the contract with CMS of Colorado Springs Incorporated.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the contract to CMS of Colorado Springs to rebuild our gazebo bridge. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Hit the button on, yeah. Okay, with that, we'll move on to item number 7, discussion items. Do we have any discussion items to bring up?
Not from here.
Trustees?
Nope.
Okay, moving on to item 8. Or we have a correspondence on paid sick leave. Did you want to go over that at all?
No, just wanted to make sure that you were aware of it. Did ensure with legal that that's something that we're already in compliance with. The only thing that it might trigger, and I haven't had a chance to comb through our employee handbook and just make sure that it's referenced appropriately there, but our current pay does include sick leave as part of an overall PTO package.
Okay. Item 8B is in Baker, the economy overview, and I do want to make a statement on this. I believe that they included all of 80819, which goes outside the bounds of the town limits.
That's good to know. I'll find out if what area was included in that.
Yeah, if you scroll down in their package,
Mhm.
they kind of show an area and it looks like it goes outside the town limits. And that's why the population seems to be higher than what it actually is in our 2020 census.
Okay.
So. Okay. If there's no more discussion on that, we'll move on to item number 9, our second public comment period. That's you. If you would just state your name and address for our records.
Becky Darlene Avery, 10300 Ute Pass Avenue, Green Mountain Falls. And I'm here on behalf of our 4 candidates for the Board of Trustees. We are having a public candidate forum on Wednesday, February 28th at 6 p.m. here at Town Hall. And we are hoping that you folks will help spread the word about this because attendance makes for a rich experience for everybody. The way the forum will work is that people will submit written questions in the 15 minutes prior to the event and the introduction section of the event to me, the moderator. I will do my best to categorize them, organize them. There are always things that sort of overlap and we can sort of do that sort of thing. And then I will pose questions for the trustees to respond to directly. So during the formal part of the forum, there will not be interaction between the audience and the candidates, other than the fact that they have provided the questions. But after the forum, there will be a reception, including refreshments, and all of the candidates have agreed to stay so that people can have one-on-one direct conversation with them. There has been a question about trying to do this online, and it's very important for people to understand that this is not a town government event. So there is no one to run the AV for the event. And as I just saw myself, you get feedback problems and things like that. The best I could do is jack my laptop in, turn on Zoom passively, no live chat, no feedback, no nothing, and hope it works. It won't be monitored, so if it doesn't work, we won't know. That is the best that we can do because we literally do not have the personnel to do it. The reason is, quite rightly, this is an independent event of the current staff and officers of the town. So no political involvement from people currently serving. And so like I said, I hope you will help us get the word out. We'll be posting posters and I think it could be a wonderful event. So please join us next Wednesday, 6 p.m.
Darlene, sorry, just to clarify, when you say that the trustees will answer questions, you're talking about the trustee candidates?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, the 4 trustee candidates, Ann Spear-Esch, Donald Walker, John Bell, and Brandy Morales. Mayor Todd is running unopposed for a second term. So we have asked him to come reflect on, wins and any second thoughts about first term and his goals for the second. Any other questions? Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any other public comment for our second comment period?
Just had a question on Zoom. I see no other public comment in the audience. Any other public comment on Zoom?
Okay, hearing none. Trustees, last chance. Gone. It is 7:36. We are adjourned.
Good night, Zoom.